If creating content feels overwhelming, change your mindset and move towards documenting instead of creating. You're already doing what you're doing, so just document it, and the content is already happening in front of your eyes.
This episode is brought to you by Hardscaper.com. The Hardscaper mission is to empower industry professionals with the skills, inspiration, and confidence they need to take their businesses to new heights. Struggling with training programs for your team? Looking for helpful tips to build a better company? Subscribe today to gain access to hours of interactive on-demand Hardscape construction and business courses for free. Check out Hardscaper.com. You're listening to Hardscape Growth, a podcast for hungry professionals who want to grow their businesses and level up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Hardscape Growth Show. I'm your host, Alex from TechnoBlock, and today we are joined by Tony F. I don't want to butcher your last name. We should have practiced before we started. But Tony is the director of media at Leanscaper. And the reason we have you on the show, Tony, is because one of the biggest opportunities that contractors have in today's market is to build a strong brand. A strong brand leads to the attraction of better customers, better prospective team members or employees, however you want to frame it. People will want to work for a strong brand. People will want to hire a strong brand. And one of the most critical pieces to building a strong brand is having great content. And although contractors are great at building things, traditionally, they're not great at building content. So I wanted to make sure that we got an expert on to talk about what that means. So welcome to the show, Tony. I'll let you introduce yourself, a little bit of your background, tell me how to pronounce your last name, and we'll dive into what is critical to helping a contractor build better content so they can build a better business and win.
Love that. Well, thanks for having me here, Alex. It's an honor. Everything that you guys do at TechnoBlock is incredible from an industry standpoint, also from a content standpoint too. So I actually refer you to a lot of people for like what great really looks like when making content. But we'll get into that later. Tony Felgueiras, last name Felgueiras, Portuguese. So my background, so I went to school for film and television, and so I was creating content right out of college. So I was creating daily web content for a men's lifestyle magazine, did that for several years. Then I went into the fitness industry. I was a personal trainer doing group fitness. Then I started creating content for fitness professionals. I traveled around Canada and the US creating content for yoga magazines, fitness instructors, fitness influencers. So I learned a lot about strategy. And one of the things that I started to realize is that people were getting photos, or they needed photos, but they needed it for specific purposes. And I started noticing that was an issue. And that's what we're going to talk about here today is a lot of people know, or they think they know what they need, but they don't know how to utilize it, or they get photos, but they're not optimized to be used in a certain way for either their website or their social media. A really good example that comes to mind is, you have a banner image for a website, but it's a square photo, and now it's cropping in the top and the bottom, and you can't really use it properly. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to boil down this whole conversation, I would say planning and strategy is the key. You wouldn't go and build a backyard without a design. When it comes to content, you need a design in order for your content to be effective. So I think that if we wrap it up into a bow, that's ultimately what it is. So the strategy behind it, but also knowing who you are speaking to, who your client is, who it is that you're trying to attract, and who it is that you're working for. That's ultimately what we're here to talk about. So I was a contractor for or a freelancer in the media industry, and then I was freelancing doing video and photo work for a lot of different people. And then I found Mark Bradley and LMN. I started contracting, doing some contract work for LMN last year in 2024. And once Mark Bradley started Leanscaper along with Mike Lasecki, he offered me an opportunity to be the director of media here at Leanscaper. And that's where I am full-time, creating content, working on strategy, and just changing landscapers' lives, the lives of their family, through education, through events, through programming. Eventually, we're going to have software as well. But yeah.
I love it. And that's why we reached out to you, because there's the combination of knowing how to produce content, having done it for different segments, different industries, but also being in a position now where your job is not only to produce content to help thousands of contractors, you're also directly interacting with those thousands of contractors so you can identify where the gaps are and how to help them. So that's what I want to talk about. So you said that the two key things, there are lots of keys. We have some notes to refer to as well, but the two key things are defining a strategy and defining the ideal customer. Which do you believe you start with? I have my thoughts, but I want to know what you think as director of media.
I would say identifying your customer profile is everything, because
who are we trying to talk to?
Who is it that we're looking to attract? Who is it that we sell to? Are we selling, are we looking for more maintenance? Are we more of a luxury kind of brand? Because once you know who you're speaking to and who the customer is, then you can tailor your content to speak that language.
Okay, so let's say we're going to invent a hypothetical scenario. I do this a lot. It helps make it as practical as possible. I'm running a hardscape construction company. We do design build, but we're a modest size. We want to hit that next level. Right now, our projects are somewhere between $75,000 and $175,000, but I want to start getting into those $250,000 plus projects. I have a decent profit margin. I have some money I can throw at marketing and stuff. I've paid for ads before. I've done some pay-per-click stuff. It's not really giving me what I want. I'm not really hitting that next level. Let's pretend that that is the customer we're trying to solve for. How do we go about identifying the ideal customer?
So the ideal customer is identifying who is making the purchase decisions, because you want to speak to them. So you can kind of post before and afters, or you can post progress photos, and there's a lot of different pillars of content that we can talk to. But ultimately, who is it that you're trying to attract? And we can kind of go pretty big with this conversation in terms of, marketing versus social media. And, Mark Bradley has a really great story about creating portfolios that you put on people's door. And so there's a whole bunch of tactics that we can talk about. But if we're talking digital, online, social media strategy, or website, then I think website is a really big area to focus on, that because a lot of those buyers, your website needs to reflect what those spaces look like. So the other thing to think about too is when people are buying, they don't necessarily buy products or services, they buy emotion as well. So one big takeaway here is to think about, what does your photos or videos that you're currently presenting communicate? Are they empty backyard spaces? Are there empty front yards? What is that trying to sell? What is the emotion that gives to the buyer? Now, if it's a big difference, if you have an empty backyard that looks really great, a beautiful hardscape, but are there people enjoying it? Can you get imagery or videos of people enjoying that space, that when people are consuming that content or seeing that, they're like, oh, wow, there's a family enjoying this space, or whatever it is that you're trying to identify. So identifying who you want to talk to and thinking of the emotions should dictate the type of content that you want to create in there.
Okay. So like I want a, let's say, upper middle class to wealthy homeowners. That's who I'm trying to target. People who are interested in having a full backyard makeover. Right. So if they're willing to spend at least $250,000 in their backyard, and we're saying you should be spending 10 to 20% of the value of your home, that means I'm targeting homes with a value of somewhere between 1.5 and up, but probably in that 1.5 to $5 million range. Let's say I'm not in a real estate bubble like Toronto. I'm somewhere else. But let's say I'm looking at properties that probably are in that range. I'm in that $1 million range. Yeah. That would get me into that type of customer.
Yeah. Probably. So two things to identify there is, one, that customer, they have money, but there are two things that they're looking for. One is they're looking to engage your service in order to actually, let me scale this back a little bit.
Okay.
Mark is known for saying this, that people purchase for two reasons. One is to avoid pain, or two, to seek pleasure. So in this case, right over here, the pain that people are looking at is they can't do it themselves. They don't want to do it themselves. So they're hiring you because they want somebody that's trusted to be able to do this, but they're also looking for these backyards to create memories. So that's the pleasure that we're looking for. So when you're thinking about imagery, you can kind of really hone into that. And you can put this into your sales strategy and things like that as well when you're communicating these things. But when you're talking about content, you really want to amplify creating, if it's a backyard paradise that people are looking for, really dialing into the feeling, the emotion that people are going to be able to enjoy it. If you're going to put in a barbecue over there, now you're eliminating going inside and out of the house. Now you're creating more cohesion around the family. You can spend time together around the barbecue while people are cooking so that there's not that in and out. So starting to think about those opportunities when you're marketing and when you're creating, and when you're also pulling out testimonials, because we'll get into testimonials a little bit later, but starting to think about, instead of just I'm making a backyard for somebody, think about the value that you're actually providing. What is it that your service as a hardscaper, what is it that you are truly creating for the customer? You're not just creating a backyard, you're creating an experience, you're creating memories. So dialing in on those with your content is extremely important.
What I like, what you just said triggered a few things in my head. So tell me if I'm on the right track here. So let's say I want to target those types of customers, right? Homeowners are willing to spend 175, 250, 300,000 in their backyards. Great. If we're talking about a content perspective, and we're talking about the content that will attract and then convince them to take the next step, and we take the example that you just said with kitchens. So let's say I'm targeting these homeowners, and I sit down either by myself or with my team, and we write down what are all the opportunities to serve these customers. And if we talk about just from a construction standpoint, what are the opportunities that we have to serve these customers? Well, there are pools, there are pool decks, there are fire pits and seating areas, there are outdoor kitchens, there are shade structures, pergolas, raised patios, driveways, walkways. You make the list of all the things. And then the next step is, what are the experiences or the emotions that you can tie to each one? And then from there, the next layer of development is what content can best communicate those things. Am I on the right track?
Exactly. You're nailing it exactly. So I like to think of it as a reverse engineering. So instead of just making content and shooting it, you're on the right track. Is you're thinking, what does the end look like? What is the impact? And how can we engineer our content to speak to that? Instead of just, hopefully this before and after is interesting to people and it attracts them. That's not what's going to attract them. What's going to attract them is the impact. So we're being very intentional with what we're making so that we attract the right people. Because the other part of this too, and the other side of the coin is, if you just have general marketing, you just have general content, think about your lead funnel. The type of leads that you're going to be getting from that content might be leads that are going to be wasting your time, because they're not, you might be attracting the type of clients that you don't want to serve. So you might be very specific chasing a market, or you might be chasing a very specific market or a very specific demographic. But if you're putting out content that is attracting, a lower tier customer profile, now you're wasting your salesperson's time, because you're attracting those leads. You're going to do consultations or discovery calls. It's super wasteful.
So but whether it's your salespeople or even if you're doing like pay per click or any pay per conversion with your advertising, you're also burning your advertising dollars. This is why so many contractors come up to me and say, like, what am I doing wrong? Because I'm paying these guys more and more every year and I'm not getting any better leads. They're all trash. This is your content, dude. And you look at the guy's website, like the website doesn't scream, wow, luxury outdoors. It just screams the same crap you were doing 10 years ago. Like, you're not going to hit another level. You're not showing what another level is. So let's stick on the kitchen thing, because I think we can use that to kind of workshop through all the other steps that you shared with me. Because one of the things I like about outdoor kitchens is it's obviously a hardscape construction thing. B, it is one thing that a lot of contractors don't want to dip their toes into because they perceive it to be ultra complex, although it's not necessarily. It just has a lot of steps, but it's not a complicated thing to do. And C, it's some of the highest revenue per hour of anything that you can offer a customer. So this is a high ticket thing. I should be figuring out how to sell more outdoor kitchens, period, if I want to grow my bottom line. Cool?
Yeah, 100%.
So let's say I've identified my customer and I've identified the opportunity to push more on kitchens because these customers love kitchens. My team is great at building kitchens. That's our angle. We're going to try to push more kitchens this season. What do I go from there? So like I brought up like identifying the emotions that I need to convey. How do I wrap my head around that where I can make something that's going to stand out and not just be like, well, people like having fun and being outside and cooking outside. Like how do we tackle this next step?
So if you really want to hone in on something like kitchens, start thinking of different ways you can communicate that. So we'll do this on the fly. One of them,
let's do it.
One of them would be testimonials from your clients. So going back to previous clients and asking them, hey, you've had this for a year. Can you talk about the experiences that you've had in this outdoor kitchen, and capturing those? And then those are video testimonials. Now, from those video testimonials, you can pull quotes from that and put those quotes on your website. So now you're multi-purposing. Then you can also take those quotes and you can make those a static image, and you can use those on social media as well. So I'm going to go on a really quick tangent here. When you're creating content, when you create content once, it should not live just once. When you could create content that serves multiple purposes, now you're getting, if we're talking about revenue per hour, now you're getting more revenue per hour out of that content because you're getting more use out of it. So that's a tangent. Now, when you're going back to that other one about revenue per hour, this conversation and this strategy is important, not just from attracting customers, but from your business. And you hit on that perfectly, Alex. The better you can get at communicating, the better leads you bring in, and you're pushing that higher revenue per hour, that content is actually improving your business, because if you start getting more outdoor kitchens as a result of the content you're putting out, your business is going to thrive better. You'll be able to pay your staff more. You'll be able to have higher profits because you are now doing the business that is making the business more profitable.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, it's worth paying attention to the rest of this conversation if you already got this far.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So we brainstormed some ideas, some things. So testimonials is one way to do it. And the other thing I like about testimonials is you don't need to rack your brain to think about all the reasons why people love their outdoor kitchens. They're telling you straight up.
Yeah. I have a hot tip too, because I interview people for a living, and I've done podcasts and things as well. One way to think about testimonials when you're approaching testimonials is think about what you want the person to say and engineer a question that pulls that answer. Because a lot of times...
Let's do one. Give me an example.
So if I wanted you to, let's say the answer that I wanted was, the outdoor kitchen has given me more time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
That's the quote. That's like my dream quote that I want on the website. So I would reverse engineer a question to pull that out. So I might say, Alex, tell me how this outdoor kitchen has given you more time with your family. Now they're answering a very specific question that's going to give me a very specific answer that I can now use, rather than just showing up. Because a lot of times when you interview people or you're looking for testimonials, they don't know what to say. A lot of people are not very comfortable being in front of cameras. Period. So being very specific, go in with a game plan. Again, this is strategic. We're talking about strategy with this.
But that's what it is.
Yeah. Be strategic about the type of quotes, or maybe you want to talk about safety. So maybe you have very specific pavers or tiles around the pool, and maybe safety is something you really want to hit on. So let's workshop another one. Maybe I want them to say, I feel really safe with my children running around the pool with X product.
Yeah.
So my question might be, talk to me about how you feel when your kids are running around the pool knowing that they're not going to slip and fall. And now you're getting that content, and you're going to have those quotes.
Yeah, exactly. And then the homeowner hopefully says something like, we were really happy with your recommendation of the product. We went with Travertina Raw with the clean block technology. It has an anti-skid built into it, and we love that because it looks beautiful. It will last, but I know it's safe for my family. And that was the most important thing with putting a pool in. We wanted them to have fun, but we wanted them to be safe.
Exactly. And we'll workshop one more that's now on my mind. So let's say I wanted them to say, my space is, I'm proud of my space and it's beautiful. So the question might be, when we were originally talking, you told me that you wanted a beautiful space that you can be proud of. So can you tell me, when you look at your backyard, can you tell me the pride that you feel in your backyard and how it makes you feel?
That's a great question.
And then you take that from there.
Yeah.
So again, it's thinking
I
about
come down
the
in
end.
the morning. I have that morning coffee. I look out the window and I look at my backyard, and I'm just excited to take the day on because the sun hits just at the right angle and the water feature's going. And I just can't wait to crush my day and come home and enjoy it with my family when I get back. Like it's, those are great examples of questions. I love the angle that you're saying. Like what are the key testimonials? You think about what are the biggest hooks that you could have, and reverse engineer. What is the question I need to ask, and to whom do I need to ask that? Who has that? Who has that project that is just going to sell the rest of my projects for the next 3 years?
Yeah. And for anybody that's watching or listening to this, some of you might be thinking, man, I really want to update my website right now, but how am I supposed to get this? I have two answers to that. One is you can work this into your construction plan. So just like you have dates and timelines for when you're going to be digging and when you're going to be putting things in, create a afterthought of this. So maybe you have a standard operating procedure that you tell the client that after 6 months, once this project is done, we're going to come back and we would love to talk to you and create a video or a testimonial. So you can kind of set that standard. Now, that's one way. That's of projects that are in progress.
I love that. Because you can spin that two ways. Like the way I wrote it down was you're creating an SOP for a satisfaction discussion and testimonials.
100%.
We're going to come back after 6 months, see how this is performing, make sure that everything is to your satisfaction. And at the same time, we'd like to take the opportunity to ask you for a testimonial if that's okay.
Exactly.
You've done it, and the way that I said it, you're adding value to them too. Like, sure, yeah, absolutely. Why would I not want you to come back to make sure that the work turned out the way we all expected?
Exactly.
Love it.
Now, to take that a step further, for any projects that you have completed right now, and you're like, this month I want to make this a priority. I want to make this initiative because we need to transform our website to attract a different client. Okay. Think about your top 5 projects that you're most proud of right now. That if you did more of those clients, your business would improve because it's higher revenue per hour. Think of those 5 clients right now.
Gotcha.
Now, reach out to those 5 clients and offer them a free family photo shoot. Now, this is going to go in the marketing budget. Now, at that free family photo shoot, be very transparent and say, we really loved working with you. It's been a year. Hopefully you're enjoying your space. We're looking to upgrade our marketing, and we're really proud of the project that we did with you, and you were an amazing client. We'd love to come back, and we'd love to offer you a free family photo shoot. And in exchange, we would just love to use these photos on our website in order to showcase the great work that we have. Now, what that is doing, that's doing multiple things. One is it's doing that extra customer touch point that you had mentioned. Now, when you're there, there's also opportunity to potentially upsell. Maybe they have, certain maintenance. Maybe they want to add a water feature or something. So if you didn't contact them, there would be no opportunity to have this conversation unless you had that in your SOP to follow up with clients. The other part of this is now you're adding value to this client for free. What other landscape, hard, what other company
No.
is
Who's doing that? No one's doing
no,
that.
but you can be doing that right now. Like you could be doing that. So you're adding value to the client by giving them something for free. Now, the other thing is
there's so many other spin-off things you can do. Go. My brain is going now.
Now imagine this family has a picture of their family on the wall.
Exactly.
And people are coming in and they're like, wow, that's a really great photo of you and your family. Who took that photo? My Hardscape company did that.
Yeah.
Like that is the ultimate referral piece right there.
Exactly. That or Christmas cards. You know, if you did a Christmas or a holiday family photo shoot, if you did that, they send that out to all their friends and family. Where are their friends and family? Probably in your service area. At least most of them are. What a beautiful family photo. Who took that picture? Exactly. Oh, the contractor that built the backyard. Oh, man. You know, it's really time that we do our backyard. Can you give me his number?
Boom. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like
super smart.
That one initiative can have such a big ripple effect that I haven't. There's only one other company that I heard that does this similar, and I want to shout out Springhetti. I think it's Springhetti Luxury.
Yeah,
Spaces.
I know them. Yeah,
yeah.
Awesome.
So we were at an Element Summit. I think it was last year, and this is part of their. From what I remember, I don't want to speak on their behalf because this was.
I think you're right though. I remember here. I don't even remember if it was when they were on the podcast they mentioned it to me. But I love the idea. It's super smart. And you're again, the thing that I love, and this is just one of my, we talk values and principles. This is one of the values that I have is if I'm going to work with you, if I'm going to do business with you, I want to add value every time we interact.
100%.
I don't want it to be a transactional thing. Every time we talk, I want you to leave with something more than you came with. So that's an opportunity right there that like, I'm going to come do a photo shoot. I'm going to give you a full photo out, but we're also going to shoot your property. I'm going to give you those pictures too. So if ever you decide to sell your home, man, it's going to be the fastest sale you've ever had because the backyard's going to look spectacular and people are going to buy the house just for that. Mm-hmm. But I get in return the content that I need to do what I need to grow my business. It's a win-win. It's fantastic. I love that idea.
And, maybe you're partnered with a local landscape maintenance person and maybe you call them up and say, hey, we're going to go do a photo shoot. Maybe you might want to contact us.
Can you go spruce that thing up? Yeah.
Like there's that one initiative. Yeah. I think that's a mic drop right there.
Yeah. The maintenance, even if you offer clean and protect services, which I think every hardscape company should offer, you build the thing, offer them a way to maintain it at as low an investment of time and energy and money as possible. But that gives you an excuse to come back. It's been a year. They didn't take the maintenance package or the protection package at the time. Okay, well, that's fine. It's been a year. It's not going to be that stained up. We can clean it. We can apply the protectant. It's going to look mint. And then we do the photo shoot. Like you're just creating so many different revenue opportunities while satisfying your marketing and your content creation needs.
100%.
Let's talk a little bit more, or let's kind of shift gears. A couple of the other things that you have in your notes are like the content trends that work. I think we've covered enough of the other stuff. Like we get the gist of it. Now you have to actually do the work for it to apply for your business. But what are some of the content trends that work right now? And then I can figure out, again, using that strategic thinking, how I can produce it. But what works and what should I focus on producing?
Yeah, short form video, especially on platforms like Instagram and Facebook, is dominating. So Instagram Reels, vertical content, something when you're doing testimonials, making sure that there's captions on the video as well, because a lot of people are consuming content without audio. So making sure you have closed captions is a very vital component when it comes to Reels. The other thing that's really trending right now in May of 2025 is carousels on Instagram. So that's multiple slides. So if you have, a slide of 2 or more photos, that does really well because it's multiple pieces of content within one post. So it gets pushed out more. So something you can do is you can have the first slide might be we'll just go with before and after because it's an easy one to talk about.
Yeah, but split it. So I see the half of the before and half of the after in the same frame.
Exactly. So
a lot of guys, I see the before after, they make the first slide the before, like I'm not that motivated to swipe. I'm not like, show me the transformation, tease me first, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Always tease with the first one, because then you swipe and you see the next one, you swipe.
And then
So
you keep going.
that
Yeah.
engagement tells the platform, oh, this is content that is
The
of
humans are
value.
interacting. This is
Exactly.
good. Yeah.
So anytime you can get somebody interacting with the content or staying on the content longer,
Mm-hmm.
that's key. And so something that you're going to see if you look at our Leanscaper page, or if you look at other big pages like Dan Martell or whatnot, they'll have kind of quotes where it's a photo and then there's text or a quote. So when you're scrolling, you have to stop on that content and you have to read it for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
And then you tap into it and then you read the caption. So that's telling Instagram, oh, that was a scroll stopping piece of content. It must be valuable. I'm going to push it out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's doing really well. The other thing is behind the scenes. People love watching behind the scenes. So instead of just showing, the after and the shininess of it, show the work being done. Especially in this industry, people love seeing gear and they love seeing dirt and they love seeing things being transformed. So that's really great. But also, I'd say the most important thing is, personality driven brands are outperforming faceless, polished ones. So showing up, showing your face on it, showing your people's face. Because another thing to really consider here is showcasing the people that work for your company, because social media isn't strictly customer facing. Think of it as employee facing as well, because
Mm-hmm.
people are scrolling social media that might want to work for your business. And if you have job descriptions and job ads, the first thing that somebody does before they work for a company is they're going to go on LinkedIn and social media and check out your company. And if your company shows the people, it shows the fun that they're having, it shows the technology, it shows the equipment, that's an exciting place to work. So
Mm-hmm.
on social media, showing that is also super important, because if I'm looking to work for TechnoBlock and I see all this awesome stuff about we're having, Friday meetings, we promote personal growth, we train our staff, that sort of thing, that is also going to attract growth-minded employees to your
Mm-hmm.
company as well. So that is a whole other part of the strategic thinking, and it's not always just about what customers am I trying to attract. It's also, what employees do I want to attract into my business as well?
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about the content that you're putting out, don't sleep on attracting employees and
It's
showing the
huge. It's
people.
huge. It's huge. It's huge. It helps us a lot. Like, you're giving that example, but like TechnoBlock, we attract more and more talented people because we're more and more in the face of the people, because we're posting and publishing more content. But I think of companies like um they were just Earthscapes New Jersey. They were just on our show, the last episode, and one of the things that we were talking about was their training day that they did, the spring training day, and they had posted about it. Like, they were walking around and showing the different stations and talking about how they prepped for it. And like, to me, if I was in the industry or seeking a job in the industry and I'm seeing that and I'm attracted to that, well, that's I wanted to learn more about that company. And then I look at the projects they build and, wow, these are some really sick projects. I want to build sick projects like that. So you're creating like this demand of people coming in, one. And two, because you're creating this demand of people in, you can be more selective. You're not just hiring the last guy that came in with a pulse. You're actually picking a good person that can contribute value to your company. So I love that. If we talk about
The other, I want to also
go.
hit one other part of that
Go.
too, is
Tell me.
instead of thinking the customer and employees separate, when you're showcasing your team, if a customer comes across your profile, that's also another impression that, wow, this company really takes care of their people. I value that, and I wanna hire this company because they take care of their people.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about that. That people want to make sure that other humans are taken care of, and I believe people aren't out there to take advantage of other people. So I think if I was in a buying position and I went to a page that showcases their people, that hits me with that storytelling, that hits me with emotion. And price aside, if all prices are equal and I see a page that shows that, hey, this company really shows that they train their staff and they treat their staff well, I want to support that company. I want that company doing it in my backyard, because I know that as a customer, I'm also supporting those people by working with this company.
To me, the bigger thing is the confidence that inspires.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you said, I'll throw it in the lovey-dovey bucket. It matters, but I think even if you want to say like, okay, but not everyone's like that, sure, but everyone does look at how much it costs and what am I getting for my money. And if I'm seeing that the company spends significant or invest significantly in their people, making sure that they have the best people, that they're training their people, that they're developing their people, that inspires trust to me, because those are the people that will be working at my house. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that are going to be in my backyard while I'm at the office. My wife and kids are home.
And also,
like there's that other angle too. So like, no matter how you slice it, you win by giving that behind the scenes if it's well thought out. Again, strategic.
Yeah. And then that makes it easier for your salespeople, so that when you get a customer that says, can you give me a 15% discount on that? Then you can say, you know what, we invest a lot in our training. Our price is the way it is because we make sure that our people have benefits, and we train our people so that you can trust the quality. So that is the way that the price is, because we believe in our safety, efficiency, quality. So it makes that conversation easier, so that you can paint a picture that not all prices look equal on paper, but when you dig down into it, like the service, the quality, all of those things, that's where that's where you can differentiate yourself.
That's exactly the word.
When people are price shopping, that there's always going to be price shoppers. Especially now, like material gets expensive, labor is expensive, and people are going to price shop. But how you communicate the value of what you do, that's where you stand out.
It's differentiation. It boils down to that. And by doing behind the scenes content, by doing personality driven content, well, you know what you have that no one else has? You and your people. The only company that has you and your people is yours. So if you can figure out how to leverage that for your content, well, you're going to be in a different class from everybody else by virtue simply of being a different personality. You're a different person. Yeah. So I think that's a very insightful piece of information. Before we look at what to look for in a content creator, let's go first. I'm not ready to hire someone to do this. I think I can do some of this stuff myself, or maybe my wife can help, or maybe my brother can help, or we have a guy on our crew who studied photography, and he didn't pursue a career in it, but he's pretty good, and we can probably get the ball rolling with some of this stuff. What tips do you have to shoot to get the best stuff? Like, I know who I'm trying to hit. I know what I'm trying to talk about and show. I just need the content now. We talked about the different formats, but how do I shoot and get good results? What do I need to do?
Yeah, I think creating sort of an SOP around it is also important, so that you're not just, oh, it's the end of the day, I should go get this photo. So being intentional about it. So let's say you make an SOP that at the beginning of the day, I'm going to take 4 photos on my phone. And at the end of the day, I'm going to take 4 photos on my phone. And I know where all of that goes. So that's a really great place to start. Is now that you've identified your customer profile, you have an idea of the type of content. Now you're like, okay, how do I fulfill those buckets? I need to create an SOP around that. So if we want to talk like, starting from the bottom to having a production team, the first thing, just start shooting stuff with your phone. That's like number one. You don't have to overcomplicate things, especially when you're just getting started. Just shoot stuff on your phone, have a place to put it so that it's easy to find. It's in an organized fashion, just like your trailers, just like your trucks, just like your shop. Try to keep it organized, because otherwise it's going to become a nightmare. Rename your files if you can as well. I'm a really big stickler on file naming. So it might be, you might want to name the file whatever the property is, the date, testimonial, or if it's the property, the date, and maybe it's a certain detail or a certain material. The more detail you can go into with your content, what I'll call repository or archive, the more efficient it's going to be, so that when you have to pivot really quickly, or you want to do a post that's about a specific type of material, you can just do a quick search on like a Google Drive or something, and it makes it really easy. So
Yeah.
I'd say step one, just start shooting with your phone and start creating a content repository around that. And
Can I give you a quick story of someone I saw that's doing that?
yeah.
So I was in California a couple weeks ago, and I went to visit Applewood to see how they kind of run their business, and that was one of the things that they do. They focus a lot on content. They believe it's an extremely important part, not only for their marketing but for their sales presentations and for their website and all that. So what they do is the foreman. Well, actually, everyone in the company, there's one. Every project, has its own chat. So they use Signal, but you could use whatever. You could just use SMS on your phone if you want.
WhatsApp or
whatever. Pick one. But they use that, and basically they have exactly what you just said. At job site start, so they roll on the job site 7:30, 8 a.m. There are 4 to 5 pictures that are taken and pushed to the chat. At 10, 4 to 5 pictures taken and pushed to the chat. At noon, and at first it was a battle to get the guys to be doing it, but now the guys, not only do they do it, but they embrace it, and they even play around with it. So like the foreman takes a picture, and like one of the pictures is always a goofy one where like you have a guy like hiding in a bush, or you have a guy who's like he's wearing a cooler on his head, like a helmet. So like they have fun with it, and because it's like programmed on his phone, like he has a little alarm that goes off for it all the time. It's like, oh, time to take the picture. So everyone knows, okay, make things look good. Let's take some pictures. And the guy's actually taking good pictures because like the different crews are competing with each other too. So it's I think it's an important part. You make it a process, you stick with it, and you find a way to make it fun and rewarding for the guys as well. And what that gives them is basically throughout the entire day, at the end of the day, the office admin can pick the most relevant pictures, or the project manager can take the most relevant pictures, send them to the homeowner saying, this is the progress that we made for you today. And on the marketing side, well, you have all kinds of behind the scenes stuff that you can use as all the different ways that we talked about. So there's an added benefit to taking these pictures throughout the project too.
100%. And also from an insurance standpoint as well. If a client says, hey,
insurance, lawsuits, whatever,
all that. So like that content extends beyond attracting and social media. So yeah, you definitely hit on an amazing point with that for sure. And also if you're a company that you're saying our people are not going to do this, maybe incentivize it. Maybe the crew that produces the best photo of the week, or the highest quantity, whatever it is that you want to do, incentivize it. Maybe you award them, I don't know, I don't like to say gift card, but like maybe you award them with a special lunch, or like some kind of incentive to kick that out. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. No, it could be something simple. And it's also just like a muscle, because I think a lot of times people get, analysis paralysis. I don't know what to do, so I'm just not going to do it. And that is not an excuse. It's 2025. You need content, period. Like hard stop on that. So the longer you wait, the harder it's going to become. Everybody is creating content, especially with the use of AI right now. It's getting really fast, really easy to produce content, to organize content, to create captions, all that sort of thing. And this might be a whole other tangent as well, but if you are unsure, and if you are not using ChatGPT, use ChatGPT right now. If you're listening to this and you're watching this, here's something that you can do immediately. Go into ChatGPT, and if you don't have a ChatGPT account, go and make one right now. Use the voice notes, talk to ChatGPT, tell it everything about your business, talk to it like a person, tell it the type of people that you want to attract, talk to it and tell it the type of business that you do, give it numbers, give it metrics, talk to it for 5 or 10 minutes. Then ask ChatGPT and say, help me create a strategy for Instagram or social media around how I would create content to attract this customer profile. It's going to spit out a whole bunch of things. Read it, then talk with ChatGPT and say, this is great, but can you condense this down so that our crew can take 10 photos a week or whatever the case may be? You have on our phone, you have a strategic partner right now. So if you think you're just an owner and you need to do everything yourself, AI is such an effective tool that you can use to help you get ahead, that it's not going to get you, it's not going to be perfect. I like to say
it's going to do it for you,
it's
but
not going to do it for you, but
yeah.
it'll help you get the plan. It'll help you get clarity, and it'll help you get all the ideas you have out of your brain onto a plan that you can then modify and change so that you can have execution around it, and speak to ChatGPT around that too and say, okay, how many posts a week, or I want to have 3 posts a week. What do I need to do with my crews? I have X amount of crews. We have X amount of projects. Can you give me a suggestion around time of day or how many photos I might need asks crews to produce? Use that as a resource. If you're feeling stuck and you have that analysis paralysis,
it's an incredible tool for brainstorming, for working out ideas, for structuring your ideas, for refining. It's not a substitute for the content creation, but it gets you a hell of a long way down the road where you can tweak it, refine it, or you can use it to edit. If you prefer to like write out all your stuff and then like, can you make this better? Like check for grammar, check for spelling, check for structure, check for conciseness, or, I want to say this, but I only have 10 seconds because you're trying to put in a story post or something, I want to say all this, but only in 10 seconds. How can I help me come up with a catchy tagline? It'll spit out those answers too. And if you don't like what it says, well, you just say, I don't like that. I was thinking something more like this, and it'll adapt. So you're 100% right. It is an excellent way to speed up the process and simplify. And it's also an incredibly powerful tool for defining the process. You say, this is all the stuff that I want to get done. Help me build a plan. Help me build out a process. Help me figure out who should be doing these things and how much time they should allocate. And then it's easier to delegate out to different members of your team because it's all there. Just follow these 5 steps, please. Do this every day. And then I'll have enough in that repository, like you said, and I can go and build this out, or I can give this to a content creator and now they can edit the footage and the videos and the stuff that we got.
Yeah. And then to go back one step, if you're having difficulty with your crews having buy-in around doing this, you need to communicate the why to them. Because to them, they might say, oh, this is an extra thing that's going to take me extra time. But if you tell them, we need these photos because we want to elevate our marketing so that we attract better clients, so that we can give you better projects that are going to be more creative, they're going to be higher revenue per hour, so we can pay you more. Like that's the ladder that it filters up to.
It's a flywheel effect, right? You're helping grow the company. If the company grows, that's more opportunities for you. That's more money for you. So the more we do this, the more the pie gets bigger for everyone.
Yeah. So I think for the leaders out there listening to this, communicating the why around content is paramount. You won't get buy-in without it.
Well said. Okay, Tony, do you have, I'm going to ask you a story time now. Do you have a great story that summarizes any of the things that we just talked about, whether it's the entire process, whether it was consulting with a client, or whether it's just something that really emphasizes what happens when you don't do the things that we're talking about?
Yeah,
what do you got?
I have a story of a personal mishap. It's not relating to the landscape industry, but it'll illustrate the point here.
Okay.
I had a client reach out to me saying, we need a video for our website and we need some social media content. We need you to come out here and film with us for a half a day. I said, I could do that. I can't give you an exact quote because I don't know what our deliverables are, how many pieces of content we're going to produce. I don't know how many hours I'm going to be spending editing. Can we have a conversation to talk about what your goals are and what the deliverables are? Ghosted. Then the client came back. Tony, we need this. We have customers coming in 48 hours. We need this video shoot. We aren't very clear on what our deliverables are just yet, but can you come out? I said, I'll come out. I'll shoot everything. Like, I'm just going to shoot everything and we'll figure it out later. But if you have any clarity around your goals, it would help me shoot better. They put him on, they put a price tag in front of me. It was appealing. So I went out, I shot it, have all the footage. And then later I try asking them, what are the goals? What are the deliverables? And some of the things that we shot were not in line with their goals. Some of their goals were things that we didn't focus on the shoot, that had I known that that was actually their goal, I would have focused and I would have captured that item that they needed. So for me, that was a big failure. It resulted in some tension and some back and forth and going back for reshoots, which then costed me extra time because I felt I just took accountability on it. I'm like, I want to make this client happy. I want to provide value to them. I need to be of service. So we're going to go back and do this. So that was a big lesson for myself, to not go out on a shoot without a plan around what the goals are, what are the outcomes, and what are the deliverables, because then that is also able to help me price the projects better, to protect my profits, and also to protect the budget of the customer that I was working for. So you can reflect that same thing. Think about the same thing for your business. Yeah.
I've lived that firsthand without getting into the numbers of it, but I've reduced my video production costs by 25% over the last few years by planning better, by having a clearer picture of what we want. So like, I'll give you an example. When we go to shoot our showcase videos, the projects that we design and build and film, and then we take that video and we use it for our Hardscaper Showcase events. A lot of times we have this idea of the things that we want to build and the things that we want to shoot. But when you're on the job site, you start to realize like, like I want to build the construction of a fire pit. We didn't plan to actually shoot the running of the gas line. The gas guy is coming tomorrow. Hey, video guy, can you come tomorrow? I know you were supposed to come on Friday, but tomorrow they're running the trench for the gas. Yeah, I can come, but I got to add that to the quote. Okay, add it to the quote. And like by the time you're done, it's like, oh, okay, there's a couple extra zeros on this thing. I wasn't expecting that.
You got a hassle tax on there.
Yeah. So you have to absolutely figure out the plan. But that's why I like coming back to the beginning. Who's the ideal customer we're trying to get? What are the opportunities that I have that I definitely will outperform anybody else in these areas? What is the emotion that I need to convey to persuade people to get off their butt and call me for that service or that feature or that thing? What is the way that I'm going to show that? Is it video? Is it photo? Is it both? When I'm creating a piece of content, I'm thinking of all the ways that I can slice that thing up so it's not just one piece of content. So I pay my videographer, I pay my photographer one time, but I'm getting this repeat return on my investment because I have video for social media. I have a video for a video banner on my website. I have a GIF I can put in an email blast, whatever it is. And then from there, I'm identifying what supporting text content I can use to support it. I'm figuring out how it can help for training. I'm figuring out how it can help for customer retention, for employee attraction. I can also use it for what was the other thing I wanted to show? Well, also to cover my butt with in terms of insurance or lawsuits or anything like that. So I have a plan. And once I have that plan, I use something like ChatGPT to help me refine that plan because I just have the rough workings of it. It gives me everything in a nice, clean, easy to follow structure. From there, I can delegate it to the members of my team. I can incentivize the members of my team to follow that plan. And I can celebrate the wins with them when they're doing it. So that builds momentum and keeps it going. And if I do all those things, well, then all of a sudden I have a content machine that exists within my company. And it just runs following the things that we ask it to do.
Yep. And then you track the metrics, and then you course correct along the way what's working, what's not working. And then seasonally, those strategies might change as well, depending also what market you're in. If you're in a market that has snow or no snow and whatnot. So yeah. And then
what are you trying to sell? Then sell for X.
Exactly. And then when you think this way, also, you can get ahead of the game. So let's say you're going into a rainy season, okay, I need to create some content that is going to speak to that objection or speak to that pain point. So maybe your content strategy going into the rainy season is going to be around specific pavers or specific overhangs or things that you can put in that are going to help
like maybe it's
eliminate
permeable pavement. Permeable pavement's a great solution to prevent flooding and puddles in your backyard. Or maybe it's like what snowmelting.ca does with his heated pavement. He runs ads as soon as the weather starts getting a little colder, like, don't want to deal with shoveling the snow off your driveway this winter? Book now or next winter, book now for 2026. Yep. Or especially when there's big, heavy snowstorms. He operates in the Montreal area here. Big, heavy snowstorms. His ads are all over my feed because he's saying, "You tired of this bullshit? Book now and never have this problem again." So absolutely. I love that too. Pre-planning. What are the opportunity moments throughout the year that you can tap into? It's all smart stuff. And this is the stuff that takes your business from here to that next level, because most people will not do that stuff. So you're differentiating strategically and it gives you that advantage.
Yeah. So you can sum it up by saying, be more proactive, be less reactive. And by creating a strategy and by planning ahead of time, you're going to eliminate so much effort. You're going to eliminate so much friction, so much stress, and so much anxiety around content. Content should not be scary. Content should be fun. Content should be profitable, and content is valuable to your business, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely. Okay, Tony, before we wrap up here, tell us a little bit about this new adventure with Leanscaper. What exactly is Leanscaper? What are you guys trying to do?
So Leanscaper is transforming the way landscapers do business and live their lives. Our mission is to change the lives of landscapers, everything from the leaders down to everybody that's grabbing a shovel. So Leanscaper is an operating system. It's a way of being to transform people's lives so that they run more efficient businesses. They operate more lean businesses so that we're eliminating waste, so that the businesses are more profitable, so that we put money back into the business to change the lives of everybody in the business, not just the lives of the leaders or the owners. We do this by our events. We do this by expert programming and webinars. We do this with a lot of resources in our community. We have an online community as well. So we're connecting businesses, we're connecting leaders from every single position. And we have software that's coming up as well that is going to transform the game. If you know anything about Mark Bradley, he's a visionary, and there's some really exciting things. So I would invite anybody here to join the Leanscaper community, leanscaper.com. There's a community tab in there. It's free. Join into the conversation. Ask questions. There's hundreds of resources in there, from job descriptions to SOPs to free Q&A. Every Tuesday, we have Mark Bradley on where you can ask him any question you want about your business. We have an accelerator program that is designed to give you one new thing to improve on your business every week, something small so that your business looks different at the end of the year. We have events, we have advisors, guides. There's just so much in there. Reach out if you have any questions, but that's it in a pretty big nutshell.
Yeah. But basically, if you're running a business and you want to improve it, they have a million ways for you to do that, and quite a few of them free. All you got to do is join the community at leanscaper.com. All right, Tony, I want to thank you for spending this time and sharing so much of this information. We'll put a summary of it in the show notes here, but another thing that you can do is take the transcript of the show, pop it in ChatGPT and say, give me a summary, tell me what to do, and it'll do that for you too. So that's a little extra bonus nugget for you. All right. Thank you once again, Tony, for joining us. And until next time, everyone, work hard, pave harder, and we'll see you next time on the Hardscape Growth Show. You've been listening to Hardscape Growth, a podcast for hungry professionals who want to grow their businesses and level up. Each episode is all about taking the next step in running your business. So make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on your favorite podcast player. And if you're finding this information to be useful, help others in your position discover us by giving us a star rating and leaving a comment. We'll see you next week.